Corey here. In this tutorial, I wanted to cover something that a lot of people have been asking for, and it's how to measure anything in ZBrush, whether that be shell thickness or just the height of a model. Um, I think one thing that's important to know that ZBrush kind of doesn't always work at a proper scale. Um, and we can be okay with that, especially when we're dealing with 3D printing. Because at the end of the day, we can always use the 3D printer export to export our model at any given size we want. So for example, if I say update size ratio, right now it's setting to export at 49 inches. We don't want that. Maybe we want this head bust to be 5 inches, and we can export this out as a STL. So let's do that real fast. 5 inch. All right, so now we have this head exported at 5 inch. So now if we bring this into any 3D print program, this STL, we're going to know that it's 5 inches tall from top to bottom. ZBrush does what's called a bounding box around our model to calculate that size. Now, say we hollowed this model, which I've done here, and we wanted to measure how thick this wall is. Well, here's how we do that. If we know that our model is 5 inches tall from top to bottom, I'm just going to make it the size of this screen, we can use what's called the transpose. And the transpose is really handy because the transpose is actually a measuring tool as well. And you can see how there's many lines in the transpose right now. So if we go to Preferences, Transpose Units, and you see how it says calibration distance 602. We change this to the height of our model, 5 inches. So now let's draw our transpose tool from the top of the model to the bottom of our model. So this is 5 inches. Let's go ahead and move this over. So now we set this to 5 inches. Now, because we're working in inches, we need to set the minor ticks to be divided by 4, and then the major ticks are 1. So every one of these has 4 of those. So you can now see that we have 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch. And now we can see that this is set to 1/4 inches. So this is 1/4 of an inch. That's really good for us to understand. Now, obviously, 1/4 inch is smaller than our wall thickness. So if we go to Preferences and go to Minor Ticks, and we go to 8s, now we have 8 units inside of there. So now when we draw our transpose, we can measure our wall thickness. And then we could see that the wall thickness is roughly half of 1/8 of an inch. So 1/16 of an inch. So if we go to Preferences, 16, you can see we're looking at about 1/16 inch. And you can use this to measure anything in your model. So if 1/16 inch of a shell wall is okay for your printer, then you know you're good to go. Now, what's interesting is that, say we set this model to be 10 inches tall, right? So we go to calibration distance, calibration distance 10. So there's 10 inches here now. And then we go to calibration distance, and then maybe 16ths is too high resolution for us to work with now. Let's go back to 8ths. That's pretty good. So now we could see that if we're exporting out this head at 10 inches tall, the wall thickness is 1/8 of an inch. So hopefully that gives you guys a good understanding on how to use a measuring tool in ZBrush, given the scale of your model. And all you need to do now is when you do your 3D printer export, you would set the Y height here for your up and down to be 10. Hopefully that's a great overview for you guys to use the transpose tool to measure things in ZBrush. Again, thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe below. Check out our Facebook page and Twitter and Instagram at Mold3D. And be sure to check out our new educational resource, mold3dacademy.com. We'll see you next time. Robert checking out.